Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, we're going to break down the best tips and tricks for using the Universal Orlando Express Pass, buying the Universal Orlando Express Pass, essentially the best tips and tricks for everything about the Universal Orlando Express Pass for your next Universal Orlando vacation. And of course, the Express Pass is so very, very popular because it will help you skip the lines on the most popular attractions in the theme park. So if you are in the process of planning Universal Orlando trip, just be sure to hit that subscribe button, as we have a lot more similar videos just like this coming out in the coming weeks. And if you are planning your trip, just be sure to stick around until the end of this video. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we are about to break down the best tips and tricks when it comes to the Universal Orlando Express Pass. And we're going to jump right in. We're going to start with tip number one, and that is, of course, understanding the basics. So the Universal Orlando Express Pass allows guests to skip the regular lines at most attractions, giving you shorter wait times. Now, it's important to understand that there are actually two different types of Universal Express Passes. We have the regular Universal Orlando Express Pass, which will allow you to skip the line for each ride one time per day. And then we have the Universal Orlando Unlimited Express Pass. It's actually called the Universal Express Unlimited. I'm not going to say that this entire video because it's easier to say Universal Unlimited Express Pass. And then it's also important to understand that Universal does have a separate Express Pass for Volcano Bay, which is an additional cost. And of course, just like we said, it does give you access to skip the regular lines at most attractions, but there are two rides that do not include the Universal Express Pass in the regular parks, and that is the, I can't even say this word, the Pteranodon Flyers. I don't know how anyone says that. And then Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. But most people are concerned with Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, which does not include the Universal Express Pass. And we're going to jump over to tip and trick number two, and that is understanding that the Universal Express Pass is going to be more than your actual admission ticket. So the prices that you see on the Universal website are almost never going to be the prices that you can purchase the Universal Express Pass for. And you'll see, I get calls constantly. Guests are like, I'm interested in the Express Pass. I saw it's, $89.99. That is not going to be the case, unfortunately, for most guests, just because that's the starting price. So Universal is very clever with their marketing, and that is the starting price for the Express Pass. So what you do have to do is, if you are shopping around for Universal Express Pass, be sure you have to select your date, because the prices do fluctuate by date. But also, another tip and trick would be, make sure you actually get to the checkout page to see your all-in price, because you do need to, especially on the Universal Orlando website, they're going to add tax at some point. So kind of keep that in mind, especially as you're planning your Universal Orlando trip, especially during the busier times of year. My honest opinion is, on average, guests can expect to pay, I would say, between $175 to $225 per person per day. Now, this does bring me to my next kind of tip and trick and point, and that is, this is definitely a premium price for the Express Pass, but in my opinion, you are getting a premium product. And, a lot of times families are planning a Universal Orlando vacation, and they're also, going over to Walt Disney World, right, in the same trip. What will happen is many families will compare the Universal Express Pass to the Disney Genie Plus, which is, now the Disney version of the pay to skip the line. And what will happen is the Disney Genie Plus is only around $25 to $30 per person per day at this point in time. However, they're two different products completely. Like, Disney actually has come out and said, like, the Disney Genie Plus is geared to get you onto 2 to 3 rides with little wait, right? So the Universal Express Pass really does what it says it does, and that is, it's going to help you skip the lines at a majority of the rides in the park. And you don't have to make a reservation like you do over in Disney to come and skip the line. Like, you pretty much just walk right up to that ride and you scan your Express Pass and you will skip that line. So again, my opinion is, it's a lot of money, but it works. Like, it really will get you on these rides as quickly as possible, compared to Disney, which is, if you're lucky, you'll get 3 rides out of it. If you're lucky, you'll understand how to use the app. Sticking with the Universal Express Pass, over to number 4. And this is another very, very important one. And a lot of times, when I'm speaking with guests or families, they'll ask me like, oh, so and so told me I have to get the Express Pass, or I read online like, oh, I can't go to Universal without getting the Express Pass. I ask follow-up questions, which is, well, what is like most important to you and your family? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And I would say that's really my tip and trick. Ask yourself that, like, what are we trying to accomplish at Universal Orlando? Are we trying to get onto every single ride and we only have one day, or are we just going specifically for Harry Potter, which is a very, very common theme that I see a lot of time. And the other thing I would say too is that, again, can I get onto all of my rides without the Express Pass? And do I just not want to wait on lines? Are two completely different questions. And again, this is important. It's important to figure that out, right? Because, everyone, different families have different goals. And I would say, understanding which rides you want to go on is the best start, and then take it from there. Because, can I get onto all of my rides in the most economical way? Different question than I don't want to wait on any lines, and economically, I don't care how much that costs me, if that makes sense. And then moving over to the next tip and trick, and we would say when trying to figure out like, hey, like, is this worth it for my family or not? Do I want this for my family? I would say on average, the typical wait times when you have the Universal Express Pass are going to be between 5 to 15 minutes. So this isn't like the VIP experience, where the VIP experience at Universal, they will bring you straight to the front of the line and you skip absolutely every line. There's still going to be a little bit of a wait with the Universal Express Pass, but it really does save you a tremendous amount of time. So typically we see those wait times be between 5 to 15 minutes. And I would say those 15 minutes are going to be for the most popular Universal Orlando rides. And typically for wait times, we typically will see wait times at Universal Orlando be between 45 to 80 minutes for the popular rides. The not so popular rides, you'll typically see between 20 to 35 minutes. So again, even if you average it out, right? Even if you say, okay, almost all of the rides are going to have a 35-minute wait time, when you take it down on an average from 35 minutes down to 10 minutes, and you're saving 20, 25 minutes per ride, you could see that adds up quickly, and you'll get a lot more done in a shorter amount of time. And if you're unsure about the Universal Orlando rides and you just need a little additional help coming up with that, kind of list of which rides you are trying to save time on, we do have a Universal Orlando vacation planning ebook that essentially has all of the basics that you need when planning a Universal Orlando trip. You can get that absolutely free. I will leave a link to that free ebook in our show notes if you want to go and grab that. We're going to jump over to the next tip and trick, and that would be choosing the right Universal Express Pass. So again, like we said, we're going to stick with the main two theme parks for this. And there is the Universal Orlando Express Pass, which allows you to go onto each ride one time, and then there's the Universal Unlimited Express Pass. So I typically find that the regular Universal Orlando Express Pass is best for families who might be visiting for just one day with that park-to-park ticket. And typically, the reason being is because you are trying to get as much done within the one day as possible, so you most likely are not going to have time to hop on to the same ride multiple times. So you might not want to do that, right? I also find this to be a good fit for families who are possibly just going to Universal for the first time because they're unsure which rides they want to go on. So they kind of want to experience them all to get a feel for these are the rides that we enjoy, right? It's typically, kind of who we would say is a good fit for the regular Universal Express Pass. Then taking it one step further, of course, when it comes to the Universal Orlando Unlimited Express Pass, we typically find that it's best for families who have multiple days to visit the theme parks, also who have been there, one or two times or multiple times, and they just know, like, these are my favorite rides. Like, we're going to go on the Velocicoaster, 10 times today, right? That is typically who we see the Universal Express Pass be a good fit for. The other thing I will say is kind of jumping back to the price very quickly is, a lot of families, they'll try to save, or they'll price out the regular Universal Express Pass, kind of thinking that, this could potentially save me a lot of money versus the unlimited. There's really not that much of a price difference. And don't get me wrong, I would say it's about $20 to $30 per person. So that can add up, very, very quickly. Could be an extra $100 on a family of four. But when you look at, the cost of the Express Pass, like I said, it's going to cost you on average, $175 to $225 per person per day. So if you are trying to get the most out of your day and you're like, oh, we want to go on this ride multiple times, I would just keep that in mind. It's typically only about $20 to $30. And then moving over to the next tip and trick, and we would say it's very, very important, if you're even thinking about the Universal Express Pass, it's important to buy your tickets in advance. And this is so crucial for the Express Pass specifically because what we find is typically the Express Passes will be cheaper in advance than buying them at the theme parks. The other really, really important thing too, and we do see a huge benefit in this, is if you're spending all that money, you don't want to waste time at the parks and, have to try to wait in line, figure out which one you'd like to buy. We really, really see the benefit in that. And then, of course, the Express Pass prices are not set in stone. So the prices can and they will go up as you get closer to your trip. And especially if you're visiting during the busier times of year. Like I said, on average, we typically will see guests spending between $175 to $225 per person per day. But right now, during the holidays, at the time of the recording of this video, I mean, the Express Passes are going for like $280 to $350 per person per day. So the pricing does go up. And the other important thing to understand too is, again, premium product gives you a premium result. But the reason being is because Universal caps the amount of Express Passes they will sell for that day. So the Universal Express Pass can and will sell out during the busier times of year. And so this brings us to our next tip and trick, and that would be, if you are trying to find the best deal, we would say take a look at one of the Universal Orlando Premier Resorts. And the reason being is the Universal Orlando Premier Resorts will give you the Universal Express Pass for free. And so I always say this to a lot, guests as they call us up. If you're trying to figure out, like, do I buy the Universal Express Pass, and you're pricing that out, and you also have not booked a hotel yet, you have to go take a look at the Premier hotels, because again, it could be a great deal. You could essentially get a place for you and your family to stay at night, rest your heads at night, and then you'll also get those free Universal Express Passes. And here's the next tip and trick that I think many families might not realize or think about. And this is especially if you're the type of family who, you kind of plan your vacations in advance. Another great benefit of booking a Universal Orlando hotel, specifically the Universal Orlando Premier Resorts, is that typically Universal will not release the Express Passes until we get closer to the travel dates. What I mean by that is the Universal Express Passes for 2024 have just been released, and it's pretty much the end of November of 2023 as I'm recording this video. So what does that tell you, right? So we didn't know what the Express Pass prices were going to be for 2024 until a couple of weeks ago. So if you were planning your 2024 trip, late summer or in the summer, whatever, if you're just planning your trip, I definitely want to take my family to Universal Orlando next year. I know I want to book this hotel. The hotel is available, and you want the Express Pass. There's a benefit to booking that hotel because you essentially know you're locking in your Express Pass pricing with that hotel, versus you'll have to wait to buy your Express Pass as you get closer to your trip. And at that point, you don't know what pricing is going to be. You can't budget. Again, my opinion is you can kind of lock in your Express Pass at a Premier Resort a lot sooner, and you could budget from there. The other benefit too is if you book an official Universal Orlando vacation package, you could book that with $50 per person down. So you could book, a package well in advance. You get your tickets, you get the Express Passes, you get your hotel, and you could pay that off over time, as opposed to, having to pay for your full Universal Express Pass up front. And so that's just my opinion. We do this a lot. And the other shameless plug is, if you do need help planning your Universal Orlando vacation package, we are a travel agency. We can absolutely help you, and we can help you look at options. We'll leave a link if you do want to get some more information. Just be sure to follow that link in our description. Okay, so moving over to the next one, and that if you're not staying at a Universal Orlando Premier Resort, I would look at the Universal Orlando combo tickets. And again, this is kind of, just like it sounds, this is a bundle and save deal. And we have an entire video on this. I'm not going to go too much into detail. I'll leave a link to that video as well. But the combo tickets can be a great way for you to get the Express Pass for multiple days, and you'll get it in the most economical way. Like, you'll save money by getting a combo ticket. So definitely keep that in mind if you are not staying at a Premier Resort. Here's another cool one that I actually learned in the parks, and that is if you upgrade and you get that Universal Orlando VIP experience, you will also get a Universal Orlando Express Pass for the rest of your day. And again, just like it sounds, I feel like this is such a great way to, you're paying for that premium product and the VIP experience, but then you'll also be able to get on the rides a lot quicker, even after your VIP experience is over with that Universal Express Pass. And now we're going to jump into kind of some of the planning, and we would say, of course, just like we said earlier in this video, make sure that you prioritize, which rides you really want to go on, which rides you really want to use the Express Pass with. And this is really, really important if you only have the regular Universal Express Pass, which allows you to go on each ride one time. And you definitely want to plan around the most popular rides. The benefit to this too is that if you can only go use your Express Pass once, and let's say you do know that you want to go on, a ride twice or a couple times, that means you'll have to wait on the regular lines. But if you prioritize and you get to the park early, you can go onto that ride with very little wait and not use your express pass. So there's kind of like a strategy in that as well. And that kind of brings us to our next tip, and that would be arrive early and also combine your express pass with early park admission. So again, just like it sounds, by arriving early, you can get onto some of the most popular rides with very, very little waits. But again, there are a couple rides that are not included with the Universal Express Pass. One specifically, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, is not included with the Universal Express Pass, but it is open for early park admission when Universal has Islands of Adventure Park open. So what we love to do is combine them. Go take advantage of early park admission, get onto Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure with very little wait times, and then again, right after, you could start to use your Universal Express Pass in the parks. And this brings me to my next tip and trick. Make sure that you plan around, which rides you're going on. Again, we think that being familiar with the park layout and strategically planning your route to maximize, essentially efficiency, minimize walking and kind of dilly-dallying. My grandfather somewhere is probably laughing that I'm using words like that, dilly-dallying in the parks. But again, you don't want to dilly-dally in the parks. You want to have a game plan. You want to know where you're going to take the most out of the Express Pass, again, just because it is a premium product, so you want to get the most out of it during your day, and we would say that's a very, very important one. The next one would be to make sure that you're familiar with ride restrictions. And again, this is really, really important. If you're visiting with young kids and you're on the fence, you're trying to figure out, is this worth it? Is it not worth it? Definitely keep this in mind, because Universal Orlando does have more thrill rides, we would say, like that's kind of what they're geared towards. So you want to make sure that your kids are at the right height requirements and that they can go onto all these rides, especially if you are buying this product. And that kind of takes me to our next tip and trick, and this is especially true if you're planning like those last minute trips and your trip is really, really close. Keep an eye on ride closures. Again, same thing, because you don't want to buy a premium product if the main ride you want to go on is going to be down for refurbishment or anything like that during your trip. And then last but not least, and this is a really, really important one that I think a lot of theme park fans, will kind of say like, oh, like, yeah, I didn't even think about that. And that is that you may miss some of the queue details by going and upgrading and getting the Universal Express Pass, because you're not going through the regular line, right? You're going through a shorter line. And so what happens there is, you're going to miss some of those extra details that go into the ride queues. And for, again, a lot of theme park fans, they might be upset about that. You have to figure out what's most important to you. Do you want the details, or do you want to save time? But that is the list, everyone. Those are some of the most popular tips and tricks when using the Universal Express Pass over at Universal Orlando Resort. I really, really hope that you found this video helpful. And just like I said, if you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando trip and you do need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. And for a limited time, and as a thank you for sticking around all the way through the end of this video, we actually do have a special promo code that you can use over at the Park Prodigy, and that would be YouTube25. You can get an additional $25 off any Universal Orlando multi-day ticket order of $700 or more. Just be sure to get a free quote. And right now, for a limited time, Universal is actually running a bunch of deals. You can get up to 25 to 30% off your official Universal Orlando vacation package, and you can allow the Park Prodigy team to help you plan a hassle-free Universal vacation. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all again so much for checking out this video, and until next time, I will talk to you soon.